Good morning. It's Maundy Thursday, and today we read from Luke 22, verses 19 and 20. Then Jesus took a loaf of bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And he did the same with the cup after supper, saying, "This cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood." So we read this little passage today. What I want you to do for Maundy Thursday is to take some time and read the story of Maundy Thursday, of the Last Supper, in the four Gospels. Now I'm going to give you, all of New Testament studies in 1 minute. The general consensus, and this is a huge body of literature on all of this, and everything's subject to interpretation, but the general consensus is Mark was written first, that Mark was Peter's secretary of sorts, an ancient tradition tells us, and that Mark wrote down Peter's memories. Matthew and Luke were written somewhat later. Debates vary on when. But they both had access to a document that Mark doesn't seem to have access to. That's a document of Jesus' sayings that's been compiled somewhere by someone. No one knows who. And that document is typically referred to as Q, from the German word for source, which is Quelle. So Q, Matthew took Mark and Q, put them together. Luke took Mark and Q, put them together a slightly different way. They both seem to have access to other sources that the other one doesn't have. So it's a complicated system there of sources. But they all tell the same story. So that's the same vision, the synoptics in Greek. So they're the synoptic Gospels are Matthew, Mark, and Luke. John is a whole different story doing a whole different thing. The thing for us to remember is that it's not like the videotape. Something happens in the world and we turn on the TV and CNN has always got a videotape. And since everybody has a camera on their little phone, everybody takes videotapes of everything all the time. And so you can always see the video. I want to see the video. What happened? What happened? The Gospels aren't like that. They're written kind of as though they are, but they're not. They don't tell everything Jesus did every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, sunup, sundown. They're not like that. They're crafted. The material is put together in ways that tell a story in a certain way. And they want that story to be told in a way that suits their theological principles or understandings. And so, for instance, Mark includes a lot of Aramaic words, and Matthew does too, because Matthew seems to be writing for a Jewish Christian audience. So they have grown up with these traditions and these Aramaic terms, and they know what he's talking about. Luke is writing for Greek converts in Greece. They have no idea about any Aramaic, so Luke just leaves the Aramaic words out. Why would you include that? No one knows what it means. And so the different audiences have different perspectives for different audiences. And so the Gospels give us different perspectives, but they tell, for the most part, the same tale. John's is completely different. John's is full of long discourses. John's is a theological document that is organized in a different way. When they all get to the Passion narratives, they all tell pretty much the same story, though things like what Jesus said on the cross vary widely among the different writers of the Gospels. Things like what happened at Jesus' trial and what was said vary somewhat. So you get these differences. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been on the scene of something that happened many years ago when I was in seminary? I was helping teach a junior high Sunday school class. And they came to Sunday school one morning, about 20 of them. And somebody had fallen the night before at a dance of some kind and had broken their leg. And the teacher knew about this, so he mentioned it, and the kids began to tell widely varying stories. Well, she slipped on some Coke that was spilled on the floor. No, she was climbing up on the table and she fell off. No, somebody bumped into her. So everybody had a different version of what happened. Did that mean that she didn't fall and didn't break her leg? No, this child had fallen and broken her leg. But as the teacher points out, this is the trouble with eyewitness testimony. Everybody sees something different. And so you can't just grab what the eyewitness says. You've got to put together what the eyewitnesses say, the various ones, and try to make sense of it all. And you see that on detective television shows sometimes as well. So today, take some time, read the stories. You can find it in Mark 14. You can find it in Luke 22, 23, and you can find it in Matthew 25, 6, and 7, I think, somewhere back there, and in the end of John as well. Take some time and read those. Just read the stories of what happened, and meditate on what Jesus does that night, and says that night, and says the next day in his trial. Tomorrow we'll look at briefly at the crucifixion and Good Friday in a little more detail. I hope you have a blessed 3 days, Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and then, of course, Easter.